There we go, on air. Hi everyone.
Morning.
Hello.
Forgot
Yeah,
to
I
do.
had to switch Google accounts. I couldn't do the Hangout on my other account for some reason. So here we are. Sorry about that. So I think people who are looking for the other event might be like, "What's going on?" So we won't have many viewers, but oh well. I'll post the link and people can watch it afterwards. So glad that you guys could make it. Hi, Glenn.
Good morning. Morning,
Morning.
everybody.
Hi, Glenn.
Did everyone
Hi,
have a good
Jackie.
weekend?
Hi, Geraldine.
Hi, Ian.
How you doing?
Did everyone have a good weekend?
Yeah,
Yeah, great. Yeah, nice weekend. Beautiful weekend here.
Cool. And happy Memorial Day as well, if you're for you guys in the States, anyone watching in the future. So we're on chapter 10, which is all about the power of the mastermind, the driving force. So would any of you like to read?
Well, I can give it a try, I guess, you know. Not a try, I mean, I can do it. How's
Yeah.
that? I don't like to
Okay.
use the word try, really, because try is like a backdoor thing, right?
Yeah.
You know.
You can
No,
do
I'll
it.
do it.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Okay, cool. So do you know how to share your screen, Glenn?
Yeah, I think I do now, but let me just give it a whirl here. Go to the green screen share, correct?
Yes, exactly.
And select start screen share on that.
There we go. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Perfect. So when whenever you're ready.
You can see it fine then, right?
Yeah, if you could perhaps make it a bit bigger, it would be easier to read that way.
Is that better when I did that? Okay, I'll just do the amplification on it here.
Yeah, exactly. And then we'll mute ourselves. So cool, thank you.
How's that?
That's good.
Is that good? Can you see it well?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is chapter 10, the power of the mastermind, the driving force. The ninth step towards riches. Power is essential for success in the accumulation of money. Plans are inert and useless without sufficient power to translate them into action. This chapter will describe the method by which an individual may attain and apply power. Power may be defined as organized and intelligently directed knowledge. Power, as the term is used here, refers to organized effort sufficient to enable an individual to transmute desire into its monetary equivalent. Organized effort is produced through the coordination of effort of two or more people who work towards a definite end in a spirit of harmony. Power is required for the accumulation of money. Power is necessary for the retention of money after it has been accumulated. Let us ascertain how power may be acquired. If power is organized knowledge, let us examine the sources of knowledge. A. Infinite intelligence. This source of knowledge may be contacted through the procedure described in another chapter with the aid of creative imagination. B. Accumulated experience. The accumulated experience of man or that portion of it which has been organized and recorded may be found in any well-equipped library. An important part of this accumulated experience is taught in public schools and colleges where it has been classified and organized. C. Experiment and research. In the field of science, and in practically every other walk of life, men are gathering, classifying, and organizing new facts daily. This is the source to which one must turn when knowledge is not available through accumulated experience. Here, too, the creative imagination must often be used. Whoops. I went to the wrong place here. Let's see. Down around 155 or something now. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, 154 it is, Glenn.
154. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Right after experiment and
I think
research.
you might be hitting the the keys that make it go right to the, that jump a lot of pages.
Yes, yeah.
Just hit the up and down arrow and click on it, click on the page, and then click on the up and down arrows. It will just move a little bit.
Okay. Oh, see, it did it again. No, I did click on my down arrow and it just jumped. So let me go back to 154. I've been using the scrolling wheel, on my mouse, and that controls it a little bit better,
Okay.
So let me go down again here, and okay. So the last place we were was we had just finished experiment and research. So now knowledge may be acquired from any of the foregoing sources. It may be converted into power by organizing it into definite plans and by expressing those plans in terms of action. Examination of the three major sources of knowledge will readily disclose the difficulty an individual would have if he depended upon his efforts alone in assembling knowledge and expressing it through definite plans in terms of action. If his plans are comprehensive and if they contemplate large proportions, he must generally induce others to cooperate with him or her before he can inject into them the necessary element of power. Gaining power through the mastermind. The mastermind may be defined as coordination of knowledge and effort in the spirit of harmony between two or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose. No individual may have great power without availing himself of the mastermind. In a preceding chapter, instructions were given for the creation of plans for the purposes of translating desire into its monetary equivalent. If you carry out these instructions with persistence and intelligence and use discrimination in the selection of your mastermind group, your objective will have been halfway reached even before you begin to recognize it. So you may better understand the intangible potentialities of power available to you through a properly chosen mastermind group. We will here explain the two characteristics of the mastermind principle, one of which is economic in nature and the other psychic. The economic feature is obvious. Economic advantages may be created by any person who surrounds himself with the advice, counsel, and personal cooperation of a group of men who are willing, men or women, who are willing to lend him wholehearted aid in a spirit of perfect harmony. This form of cooperative alliance has been the basis of nearly every great fortune. Your understanding of this great truth may definitely determine your financial status. The psychic phase of the mastermind is a much more abstract, much more difficult to comprehend, because it has reference to the spiritual forces with which the human race as a whole is not well acquainted. You may catch a significant suggestion from this statement. No two minds ever come together without thereby creating a third invisible, intangible force, which may be likened to a third mind. Keep in mind the fact that there are only two known elements in the whole universe, energy and matter. It is a well-known fact that matter may be broken down into units of molecules, atoms, and electrons. There are units of matter which may be isolated, separated, and analyzed. Likewise, there are units of energy. The human mind is a form of energy, a part of it being spiritual in nature. When the minds of two people are coordinated in a spirit of harmony, the spiritual units of energy of each mind form an affinity, which constitutes the psychic phase of the mastermind. The mastermind principle, or rather the economic feature of it, was first called to my attention by Andrew Carnegie over 25 years ago. Discovery of this principle was responsible for the choice of my life's work. Mr. Carnegie's mastermind group consisted of a staff of approximately 50 men with whom he surrounded himself for the definite purpose of manufacturing and marketing steel. He attributed his entire fortune to the power he accumulated through this mastermind. Analyze the record of any man who has accumulated a great fortune and many of those who have accumulated modest fortunes, and you will find that they have either consciously or unconsciously employed the mastermind principle. Great power can be accumulated through no other principle. Energy is nature's universal set of building blocks out of which he constructs every material thing in the universe, including man and woman, and every form of animal and vegetable life. Through a process which only nature completely understands, she translates energy into matter. Nature's building blocks are available to man in the energy involved in thinking. Man's brain men and women's brains may be compared to an electric battery. It absorbs energy from the ether, which permeates every atom of matter and fills the entire universe. It is a well-known fact that a group of electric batteries will provide more energy than a single battery. It's a well-known fact that an individual battery will provide energy in proportion to the number and capacity of the cells it contains. The brain functions in a similar fashion. This accounts for the fact that some brains are more efficient than others and leads to this significant statement: a group of brains coordinated or connected in a spirit of harmony will provide more thought energy than a single brain, just as a group of electric batteries will provide more energy than a single battery. Through this metaphor, it becomes immediately obvious that the mastermind principle holds the secret of the power wielded by men who surround themselves with other men of brains. There follows now another statement which will lead still nearer to an understanding of the psychic phase of the mastermind principle. When a group of individual brains are coordinated and function in harmony, the increased energy created through that alliance becomes available to every individual brain of the group. It is a well-known fact that Henry Ford began his business career under the handicap of poverty, illiteracy, and ignorance. It is an equally well-known fact that within the inconceivably short period of 10 years, Mr. Ford mastered these three handicaps, and that within 25 years he made himself one of the richest men in America. Connect with this, the fact, the additional knowledge that Mr. Ford's most rapid strides became noticeable from the time he became a personal friend of Thomas A. Edison, and you will begin to understand what the influence of one mind upon another can accomplish. Go a step further and consider the fact that Mr. Ford's most outstanding achievements began from the time that he formed the acquaintances of Harvey Firestone, John Burroughs, and Luther Burbank, each a man of great brain capacity. And you will have further evidence that power may be produced through friendly alliance of minds. There is little, if any, doubt that Henry Ford is one of the best informed men in the business and industrial world. The question of his wealth needs no discussion. Analyze Mr. Ford's intimate personal friends, some of whom you already have been, whom have already been mentioned, and you will be prepared to understand the following statement: men take on the nature and the habits and the power of thought of those with whom they associate in a spirit of symphony and harmony. And that's men and women, of course. Henry Ford whipped poverty, illiteracy, and ignorance by aligning himself with great minds whose vibrations of thought he absorbed into his own mind. Through his association with Edison, Burbank, Burroughs, and Firestone, Mr. Ford added to his own brain power the sum and substance of the intelligence, experience, knowledge, and spiritual forces of these four men. Moreover, he appropriated and made use of the mastermind principle through the methods of procedure described in this book. This principle is available to you. We've already mentioned Mahatma Gandhi. Perhaps the majority of those who have heard of Gandhi looked upon him as merely an eccentric little man who goes around without formal wearing apparel and makes trouble for the British government. In reality, Gandhi is not eccentric, but he is the most powerful man now living, estimated by the number of his followers and their faith in their leader. Moreover, he is probably the most powerful man who has ever lived. His power is passive, but it is real. Let us study the method by which he attained his stupendous power. It may be explained in a few words. He came by power through inducing over 200 million people to coordinate with mind and body in a spirit of harmony for a definite purpose. In brief, Gandhi has accomplished a miracle, for it is a miracle when 200 million people can be induced, not forced, to cooperate in the spirit of harmony for a limitless time. If you doubt that this is a miracle, try to induce any two people to cooperate in the spirit of harmony for any length of time. Every man who manages a business knows what a difficult matter it is to get employees to work together in a spirit even remotely resembling harmony. The list of the chief sources from which power may be attained is, as you have seen, headed by infinite intelligence. When two or more people coordinate in a spirit of harmony and work towards a definite objective, they place themselves in a position through that alliance to absorb power directly from the great universal storehouse of infinite intelligence. This is the greatest of all sources of power. It is the source to which the genius returns. It is the source to which every leader turns, whether he may be conscious of that fact or not. The other two major sources from which...
I think...
Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, no, I think we can stop there, actually, because then it keeps going on quite a while. And I think that's a good... Because then he's talking about two other sources. So...
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much for reading. Great to have you do that. So we kind of talked about masterminds in another chapter, but it's so important, I guess, that he's repeating it, and from a slightly different angle. I love what he said about Gandhi.
Yes.
And
now, how do I get off screen share now? How do I leave?
Yeah. If you click on the same button, it will take you out. It might do it automatic if you're just speaking. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
So now I'm back off it, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this
I like the part where he talks about Henry Ford and Thomas Edison becoming, once they connected, that all of a sudden things really took off for him. I thought that was
that was like probably his first mastermind, right? I mean, where he really connected. I mean, created a third mind, right? I mean, I think that's very interesting. Yes, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's like a synergy, right? It's like a synergy, what they call synergy, which is like where 1 and 1 is no longer just 2, right? It becomes, some other large number,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's like that expression where 2 or more are gathered.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's fascinating because a lot of people don't really realize that. I find I didn't really understand this whole concept. I think I'd done it unconsciously when I was campaigning. We created a mastermind, but we didn't sit there and go, let's create a mastermind. It was just like a group of women came together. Have you guys ever been involved in a mastermind, or are you involved in a mastermind now? Like, obviously we've got this one for the book. Sure. Outside of that, like, anyone want to share about that?
Yeah, I've been involved in a mastermind. I did a thing called, in fact, it was called People Synergistically Involved, PSI. And Bob Proctor, by the way, has been to PSI and spoken there. He's one of the people that's worked in PSI a little bit. And after I had completed some courses in PSI, I did have a mastermind group of about 3 or 4 people, right? That we kind of worked together on various things, objectives we were trying to achieve in our lives. But that was back about 20 years ago, believe it or not. 25 years ago, yeah.
And did you notice a difference, like, from having that mastermind group?
Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you become much more focused, right? And you're drawing on the support and the knowledge and everything of other people in your group. It's a very powerful thing. Very powerful.
And how often would you meet with them, Glenn?
Usually weekly. We usually met once a week. We did it for about a year or so.
Yeah.
And then everybody got off on other things.
Yeah. I wonder how long.
It's nice to have a long-term relationship for a mastermind, I think, because, well, look at Edison and the other people that he kind of picked up as he went along. They maintained theirs throughout their whole life, I believe.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. I think it's the most powerful ones probably are the long-term, where it just there's no kind of short-term contract on it or something. I can share actually that one of my friends, actually he's now my mastermind buddy, him and his wife, he was in real estate before, and he had 2 mastermind partners. They met once a week, by Skype, and from when they started to when they finished, 3 out of the 3 were 6-figure earners, and they weren't when they came together. That was their intention from the start. So when I actually approached him and said, would you like to be a mastermind buddy? He was like, yeah, because he knew that he'd already seen, the power of when you actually organize it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can see you're getting great results too, Sandy. I could see it. you know, on
Yeah.
your post, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
wonderful.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it does make it just makes a big difference, I find, because when you're uh I worked in a team for, you know, as a campaigner, you're always in teams. And then I sort of did Zumba instructing for 3.5 years, where it's completely different. You know, it's totally on my own. And obviously you have your students, but they're your customers. They're not your colleagues.
Right.
And there's in France, there's a lot of competition in dance and in fitness. So I did eventually make good friends, but right towards the end, it took a while to find kindred spirits. And so being part of the online community that I'm part of, and Geraldine too, it's literally just really made me appreciate this chapter and what Napoleon's saying, because it makes such a difference. I mean, you've probably noticed that, Geraldine, right? When you have people moving in a similar direction, it's like the tide kind of lifts you up instead of you having to always like jump up on your own. Yeah,
Yeah, alignment helps, right? Alignment helps a lot, right?
yeah.
When you're in alignment, you know, very powerful.
And
Exactly.
especially, I find like when I try to talk to people, like people ask me questions, they have no idea, and they just think I'm crazy. And it would be nice to be with other people who are thinking the way you are, who are understand. Like there's a lot of people that I listen to podcasts and see, I read their blogs and whatnot that I do, but like the people I meet in real life, like my coworkers or my family or friends and stuff, they're just like, what? And it's just, I think I need to find the mastermind, a right mastermind for me. I did find a woman who I work on my art with, and that's really nice. We've only met twice. We're only meeting like once a month, but
Mm.
I can see we're both taking good steps forward. Just like we meet for 45 minutes and talk about our goal, make a goal, and then we share our goal.
Yeah. Oh,
And
that's
that,
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And it's cool that you're using the internet to create that, you know, even if people around you in your physical environment aren't really that supportive, I can totally relate to that. um, that's partly what made me look online, is that I just found France to be, especially where I am out in the provinces, I was like, wow, I need to like find some like-minded people. So I don't think,
Kindred spirits, right? As you say, you know. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And it doesn't mean that you only see people on the internet, but I just think it's a great addition, you know? It can make such a massive difference. And then you meet people in real, then you usually have the chance to meet people in real life. Like a lot of the people in my online mastermind, my other one, I've gone to live events now 3 times and met
Yeah.
them in person, and we already kind of knew each other because we've been friends on the internet. So
Yeah.
I just
So
found
that
this
kind of
guy
broke the
that I
ice.
saw on the internet that like this weekend that actually lives in, or his office is here in my town. So I don't, it's the weekend, so I sent him a thing and was like, can we meet this? So I'll see how that goes. But that was just crazy to me. That
yeah,
so
yeah.
hopefully,
Yeah. Oh, by the way, thank you for the link, Jackie, on that Michael Hyatt too. That was encouraging.
yeah,
Oh,
it's a guy
About
it's a guy that I saw in a video on from a Michael Hyatt thing, no
yeah,
less.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That
it's
was kind
weird,
of
isn't it?
interesting.
I love Michael Hyatt.
So,
oh.
so I guess I'm not so crazy with my naps, right?
Exactly. Oh. Oh. And something else I can share. I think I've talked about him before, but I'll post it in the group. I listened to the calls that gave me the idea to do this. There's a guy, Paul Hutchings in America, who he actually started a Think and Grow Rich telecall. So he does it by phone,
Yeah.
um, early in the morning American time, and that was what gave me the idea for this, because I would listen to that, but it was like middle of the afternoon for me, and I was like, I'd like to listen to this at the start of my day in Europe. But I
Yes.
listened to one of his calls, and it's so cool because he's been doing that for 4 years now,
Wow.
and he has loads of stories about people that tuned into the calls and like started to to just change their prosperity and their whole consciousness around money and time and your work and how you do it. So that's also an example of the power of the mastermind, because he's been doing that now for 3.5 years. It's quite impressive. So
Yeah, very
yeah.
powerful. And I think you're right. I think lack of consciousness is a trap you can fall into very easily, very easily. And that's a good reason to read that book, or to do a group like this, or to build a mastermind, right? Is to just break that paradigm,
And it's funny
look at
because
the world.
I didn't know that he did this, but he shared a story that he read a story to one of his children, a nighttime story, and it was about this dad that was always failing in everything he did, and he wanted to be with his family, and he wasn't seeing his children grow up because he was always working. And so this dad tried all these different things and tried 14 different businesses, and then one night he was so desperate he just prayed to God and said, please show me a way I can take care of my family, because nothing is working. And he got the sense that he should study this book. And in the story he called it a magic book. And then he became a student of it, and then everything started to change, and he started to make the money that he'd been looking for, and being able to support his family, and then he could buy a house, and then move city, and it's obviously him. But he said to his kids, he didn't tell them it was Think and Grow Rich, he just called it the magic book. And I loved that, because it was that's kind of why I called it. Yeah. Right. Cool. All right. Well, we're up to time. So thank you for coming out and bearing with the different hangout events. I'm going to fix it for tomorrow, so we can start on time. And thanks for reading, Glenn.
Yes. Thanks, Glenn. Thanks everyone for coming.
And after listening to the American version, I was like, I should be more pumping up, because he was like, you can do this, you can do this. So I'm not American, to say.
Take a look at that one that I had posted on there by the speech by that.
Oh yeah, I just saw that.
Take a look at it. It's wonderful. I mean, he has a very compressed content of his experience in this kind of in the same direction, right? That we're aiming for. Right?
Oh, cool. So, okay. Thank you.
Your smile pumps me up, Sandy. You're good.
Oh.
Thank you. It's a good way to start the day,
Cool. Well, I'll just finish by saying that I truly believe that all of us can totally create the kind of consciousness we want, and the prosperity and the riches, of all kinds, not just wealth. So thank you for coming on this group and helping to make that happen for all of us.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Everybody have a great day.
Bye.
Have a great day. Thanks for watching, people. Bye.
Bye-bye.